Our story begins many, many years ago in a vast and powerful empire called Persia. A good and wise king named Darius ruled the land. Now, King Darius needed help governing his huge kingdom, so he chose 120 of the smartest and most honest men from all over his empire to be his special helpers, called satraps. Over these 120 men, the king placed 3 top managers, called administrators. And of these 3, one man stood out above all the others. His name was Daniel. Daniel was not a young man. He had lived in these foreign lands since he was a boy, taken from his home in Jerusalem. But his whole life, he had never forgotten his God. He worked with such honesty and such a wonderful spirit that King Darius planned to put him in charge of the entire kingdom. This made the other administrators and satraps very jealous. They did not like that a foreigner, a man who prayed to a different god, was about to become the most powerful person under the king. They watched Daniel closely, trying to find some mistake in his work, some bit of corruption or laziness, but they could find nothing. Daniel was completely trustworthy. He never stole anything. He never neglected his duties. The men grumbled to each other. "We will never find any basis for charges against this Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God." The jealous men hatched a clever and wicked plan. They knew Daniel's habits. They knew that 3 times every single day, Daniel would go to a room upstairs in his house. He would open the windows that faced toward his old home, Jerusalem, get down on his knees, and pray to his God. He thanked God and asked for his help. This was the one thing they could use against him. A group of these officials went together to see King Darius. They bowed low before him and spoke with flattering words. "O King Darius, may you live forever," they said. "All the royal administrators, prefects, satraps, advisors, and governors have discussed the matter and agree that the king should issue a royal decree. For the next 30 days, let it be a law that anyone who prays to any god or human being, except for you, O king, shall be thrown into the lion's den. This law cannot be changed, according to the laws of the Medes and Persians." They thought this would please the king's pride. King Darius, not seeing their trick, agreed. He put the decree in writing, and because it was a law of the Medes and Persians, it could not be altered or canceled, not even by the king himself. The decree was announced throughout the kingdom. Everyone heard the new law. When Daniel learned about it, he understood exactly what was happening. His enemies had created this law just for him. He knew the punishment was a horrifying death in a den of hungry lions. He had a choice to make. He could stop praying for 30 days, or he could pray in secret where no one could see him. But Daniel did not hesitate. He went home, just like he always did. He walked up the stairs to his room. He went to the windows and opened them wide, facing Jerusalem. He got down on his knees, right there where anyone passing by could see him, and he prayed to God, giving thanks and asking for help, just as he had done 3 times a day for his entire life. He did not pray louder to make a show. He did not hide to be safe. He simply continued being faithful. The conspiring officials were watching. They rushed in and found Daniel mid-prayer. They hurried back to the king and reminded him of his own law. "O king," they said, "did you not publish and decree? That man Daniel, one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you or the decree. He is still praying to his God 3 times a day." The king was filled with dread. He realized too late that he had been tricked and that his favorite servant Daniel was the target. He spent the rest of the day trying to think of a way to save Daniel, but the officials insisted the law was absolute. At evening, the men came to force the king to act. Reluctantly, with a heavy heart, King Darius gave the order. Daniel was brought and thrown into the lion's den. The king, who deeply admired Daniel, said to him, "May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you." A large stone was rolled over the opening of the den, and the king sealed it with his own royal ring and the rings of his nobles, so that no one could tamper with it. Then King Darius returned to his palace. He did not have any music played that night. He could not eat. He could not sleep. He spent the whole night pacing and worrying. Very early the next morning, at the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. His voice was full of worry and hope as he called out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God whom you serve continually been able to rescue you from the lions?" Then from deep inside the dark den, a calm and clear voice answered, "O king, may you live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me because I was found innocent in his sight, nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty." The king was overjoyed. He commanded his servants to lift Daniel out of the pit. Not a single scratch was on him, because he had trusted in his God completely. Then King Darius was furious with the men who had tricked him. He gave a new order, and they were thrown into the lion's den with their families. Before they even reached the bottom, the lions overpowered them. King Darius then wrote a new message to every nation and people in his vast empire. It said, "I decree that everyone in my kingdom must tremble with fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and he will endure forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed. He rescues and he saves. He performs miracles in heaven and on earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." And Daniel continued to be successful and trusted during the reign of King Darius and even into the reign of Cyrus the Persian.